So it's a beautiful Sunday morning here in Memphis. It's not god-awful humid yet, so lots of projects going on, including David is currently helping a friend put a front bumper on. Now, as far as he knows, I'm heading to my dad's to cut his grass. Now, what he doesn't know is that if everything goes right, I'll be building a rack for his doors to sit on as kind of a birthday present. His birthday is Tuesday, so I've got 2 days to figure this out. So I'm gonna try to walk you guys through that process and just have a little fun with it. So there's a little incognito offered observing. Stay tuned. Lots of fittings there. Got 10 1-inch tees and 14 elbows. Spray paints for another project. So I made it to my dad's place. I'm gonna go ahead and cut his grass and then get started on this project. I'm gonna try to just kind of walk you guys through it. Excuse me. Oh man, it's hot out here. And then just kind of go from there. I found these instructions on the JL Wrangler forum, which I will put a link below to that whole thread and one to the specific set of instructions I've got, which are right here. So this is not my idea. I've had this idea, but I was too lazy to figure it out. But luckily for you guys and for me, somebody's already done all that work. So I'll make sure that credit is given where it is due. But I am going to show you guys how to put it all together. This won't be an exact step-by-step because I'm not going to show you how to cut PVC pipe. There's 100 different ways you can do that. But I will show you everything that's needed, everything that's involved in it, and you know, a couple of variations you could do that I chose not to do, such as put it on rollers, and there's several reasons why I decided not to do that. But yeah, here we go. Wasn't able to get all of at the time for these insulation tubes. And this is the padding, so your doors don't get scratched up. Now they were out for the most part, except for these. So I'm gonna be a little short on the gift for tomorrow. Like they say, it's a thought that counts. I can easily go ahead and fix this or finish it another time over the weekend, over the week. That way it's not terribly unfinished. So let's get going with assembly. Okay, so I started with the vertical sections first. I'd already done a couple of them just to kind of get a feel for it. Make sure you have your PVC glue in a place that's easy to get to. It's not going to drip all over your table. You just want to add a little bit. You can either add it to the piece that's going into the elbow in this case, or you could just, you know, line the elbow itself on the inside. Now this is where you're going to take your 10 19-inch long pieces. Okay, those are going to be part of the vertical aspects that help hold your doors standing up, or your freedom panels. This will actually fit those as well. I don't have those, but supposedly it will work for that. So in addition to these 10 19-inch sections, you're also going to use 5 of the 7 1-foot long sections that you cut as well. Each of these vertical pieces has the 2 90-degree elbows, as you can see, and these will fit into the base that we're going to start on here in just a minute. Okay, so at this point we're going to start working on the base. Now, the base was by far the hardest part for me to figure out, just because there's so many pieces and it's just not exactly clear on the instructions. The instructions are great, but there is a little bit you've kind of just gotta work your way through. So it probably wouldn't hurt to do a dry fitting, meaning without the glue, and just kind of get a feel for how everything just kind of fits together. This is probably the third time I've done it, and you can see I'm still trying to, make sure I don't mess it up. Try to get yourself enough space to where you can kind of lay everything out. That's so helpful when you know that your T's are right here, your elbows are here, all the different pieces are sorted by size. And then just kind of find a section to start with. This is part of one of those 1 foot sections that you have left over. There should be another one after this, and that piece will actually attach to whatever base you're going to use when it's all said and done. But this is where all your 2.5 inch pieces are going to come into play. All your, let's see, what other size was it? There's 4 6-inch pieces. It's just kind of, you should start seeing your supply start dwindling when you start working on the base. Now, all these pieces need to be flush, flat. So I like to have them sitting on a surface that I know is fairly level and flat, because when we start putting everything together, you want to make sure that they're not off a little bit or skewed, because then later on you're going to have to try and force pieces together, and you really don't want to have to do that. So the first tricky bit here is the elbow is going to have to be 90 degrees. So what I did was I just took the speed square, super handy tool if you don't have one, and I made sure that the very bottom piece was the 190 degrees so that I could have the elbow flush on the ground, or on the table in this case. And that guarantees me that that piece is going to be 90 degrees, and you can see it's pretty dang close, if not perfect. So I pretty much just repeat that step for most of these. It was the easiest way I could figure out to do that, because the vertical sections that you just built are going to reside in these 90-degree elbows that are going to be standing straight up. And it's very important that they're all meshed together like they're supposed to be. Okay, so once you have your end piece kind of done, you'll start spacing them out a little bit more, and that's where these 4 of 6-inch sections will come into play, as you can see. And like I said before, using the speed square is perfect. You can just use it for the piece itself, like I am here for the T sections. Either way, you need to get them as straight as possible again. So once you kind of get to the other end, you need to make sure that you don't do what I'm about to do, and that's forget that that last 1 foot long section is going to have to go in that space between there. So you can still force it. There's plenty of play in it at this point. But after that, it's, you know, you're pretty much done. So at this point your base should be done, and we'll go back and grab those vertical sections that we made first. And as you can see, they simply just fit into all of these slots. Again, you know, get your glue on there. At this point you can probably start adding a little bit more, because these pieces need to definitely be as stable as possible. But just kind of force them in. Doesn't take a whole lot. If you've got a piece that's one of your couplings that's, you know, maybe a little bit off, you might have to fight it a bit. But overall, they should fit in rather nicely. So once everything's glued together and assembled, this is where you're going to start taking the insulation tubing that you got. Now what's awesome about this stuff is it has adhesive already on it, so you just have to kind of pinch everything together. I think I've got a better shot of it here a little bit later on. But just kind of roughly measure, you know, every 1-inch section, as you can see. It doesn't have to be perfect. I just kind of, you know, close enough for government work, so to speak. And then I just used a box cutter to make that piece. It cuts very easily. It's just foam. And you can see here, it already has a slit in it. You just slide it over, pull these two strips apart. That releases where the glue is, and you just pinch it. Now I will say, I didn't realize that would separate easily. So when I come around to putting the electrical tape on, which of course I'll show you, it kind of helps hold those pieces together, because it was pretty hot that day, and I think maybe the glue was just kind of melting in on itself. But as you can see, it's pretty dang easy to use, and we're just going to fill in every spot that's not either an elbow or a T-coupling. Now once you've done that, you want to come back with your electrical tape, and this helps keep those pieces together. Some people that I've seen on like the forum that I got these instructions from will cover the entire thing. Now that does help keep it waterproof. I don't think it's necessarily necessary. I used about 3 rolls of electrical tape. I actually finished off a roll in this shot right here. But you know, it keeps the padding together. It can kind of help keep the padding from sliding around. And you just kind of want to hit as many spots as you can that you think might be vulnerable. as you can see, same process for the base. And then here's where I differ a little bit from the actual instructions. Now the instructions, you know, they did use Velcro, they used, a few of them I saw did use cable ties in this kind of manner, but they used a moving dolly. Now, we don't have a garage, so we don't have nice, smooth concrete. Our driveway is your old school 70s pebbles, so nothing slides across that easily anyways. So for the moment, I just took some, I think they're 2x6s, and I just cut them down to size. And this is just going to be a temporary thing. It works for what it is. It keeps it solid on there. But it's not the best way to do it. As you can see here, it's still fairly low to the ground. These are my doors. I didn't want to bother David because he was working on his Jeep. But they work. So overall, final thoughts. I think the rack turned out great. It's going to serve its purpose. There's a few things I probably would have done differently, and that has 90% to do with the base itself. I'd like to put it on taller blocks so I'm not having to reach down so low with the doors. If we use it for mine, my doors are a lot heavier than his are. I did not get it to him by his birthday. Whoops. But as you can see, our ground is not very good for the cart, so that wouldn't have worked very well. Now, these instructions also come with instructions for a hardtop cart for you to sit your hardtop on. I don't know if we'll ever build that. David has another plan for that. But I think this is still helpful for trying to get your doors kind of organized, to be able to get them in the spots where you can enjoy the weather. We're about to be in the fall, seeing little glimpses of it here in Tennessee. And to me, that's my favorite time for taking the doors off. Get a light jacket, get your beanie, and just drive around doors off and enjoy the cool air. So anyways, that was my building of the DIY PVC holder, PVC door holder. I hope it helped you guys. You know, I got a couple other little things I'm gonna try to do here to Ducky real soon. We're actually about to go to Colorado, hit up all the trail badges, and just have a good old time with that. I'm very excited. It should have we're gonna film a lot for that trip, and it won't be quite the wheeling trip we normally do, such as with our buddies that go pretty hardcore, but I just can't wait for all the scenic beauty that is Colorado. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, and you know, catch you next time. See you on the trails.